What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and I am back with the Week 1 battle upload of GBA Season 8, where your Kansas City Jirachiefs are taking on Necrostevo and his Victorian Shadows. Make sure to go check out my opponent's channel. He's going to be linked down in the description below. A really nice guy. Enjoyed getting to know him a bit through the process of scheduling this battle, so make sure to go give him a look. Now, before we jump into this video, I do want to first and foremost, once again for the third time here on my first GBA uploads, welcome any new viewers to the Token Minorities. I hope you'll check out all the videos that this channel has to offer. We have a lot of Draft League content, especially coming from me, but Sticks and Danza have been uploading a fair amount of that as well recently. Sticks uploads a lot of TCG content as well, and as a whole, TTM is the host of probably the largest Draft League tournament series in the world, quite frankly. So if you're interested in the draft format and playing in the draft format, and maybe don't want to join a league, maybe just want to play in some kind of casual tournaments against some pretty good players in the format too, check out the description below as well for a link to the Token Minorities draft format tournaments server. So that's a place where you can learn how to play the format a little bit on your own, maybe instead of just watching battles, or if you want to just play more than you already do right now, that's fine as well. So make sure to go check that out if that's something you are interested in. Now, also wanted to thank the front office and give a shout out to them for their help on the team and for their help throughout the season, and a very big shout out and thank you to Under the Radar for recording this battle for me, and to Pablo for joining my team for me as well. So, alright, let's go ahead and jump on into this battle here. So my opponent, Necrostevo, has decided to bring the Diggersby, the Fortress, the Tyranitar, the Lycanroc Day, the Mega Alakazam, and the Rotom Heat, while I have decided to bring my Seismitoad, Celesteela, Rotom Ghost, the Zygarde 10%, the Staraptor, and the Gardevoir. If you haven't seen the team builder for this specific team, that'll be linked in the first line of the description below. Make sure to go click that, check that out before you watch this battle if you want to know all of the details behind this specific team that I'm bringing, as I go into a lot of detail in that video. But maybe for those who just prefer to get it right now as a little bit of a summary, the Mons are a Seismitoad, which is more specially defensive, but more mixed defensive, leaning towards specially defensive with leftovers. It's my Stealth Rocker with Toxic and Scald, as well as Ice Punch to hit the Delmise or the Alolan Executor if you would have brought those in this game. I have the Celesteela, which is Autotomize, Z-Fly, Heavy Slam, as well as Stone Edge. Stone Edge for the Rotom Heat, Z-Fly to give me the best possible opportunity to get my Beast Boost, as well as still having coverage for his some of the grass types on his team that I would have preferred to have that for, and Heavy Slam is just really spammable against this team. Then the Rotom Ghost is dual status with Toxic and Will-O-Wisp, as well as Thunderbolt, and Hidden Power Ice is a little special attack investment. This was my dedicated response to Hawlucha, which my opponent decided to actually not bring here this week, so it's going to more so be a pivot around the Diggersby, I guess, at this point in the game, or at this point because of what he brought. It's also going to be a nice way to maybe get a Toxic off on the Rotom Heat that I really want to weaken down for the Autotomize Celesteela. Then I have the Zygarde 10%, which is Adamant, Life Orb with 1,000 Arrows, Extreme Speed, and Outrage, and Toxic once again for his limited switch-ins to Zygarde Dog. And then I have a Choice Scarf Staraptor, as well as a Choice Scarf Gardevoir. Staraptor has Defog, and Gardevoir has Healing Wish. Now, I will say, looking at my opponent's team here in this game, he decided to not bring any of his 1,000 Arrows resists or responses. It looks like his response to 1,000 Arrows in this game is going to be his Fortress, which is not the best response to 1,000 Arrows, especially because it can't really retaliate that hard back outside of Gyro Ball, which my team has a lot of really good switch-ins to. So it might be, he looks a little underprepared for Zygarde 10, and that's why right away I am identifying Zygarde 10 as the most likely win condition here in this game. Yeah, Celesteela looks really good, but Zygarde 10 looks a whole lot better when he literally doesn't have a switch into it on his team. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing with it a little bit more carefully and trying to maybe get it in as much as I can in safe situations so that I can continue to pummel down his team, as he simply does not have the responses to it that he needs to be able to effectively deal with it. That said, the Celesteela still looks like it can probably set up an Autotomize on the Tyranitar potentially. You could definitely set it up on Fortress if I needed to, and Mega Alakazam is the big one. So there's 3 big chances of setup fodder for the Celesteela. So both of those options are looking pretty good pretty good in terms of being win conditions in this game, but I definitely think Zygarde has the better chance of performing well in this game, but it does just kind of depend how the battle plays out. So in terms of the lead matchup, I'm going to lead off with my Seismitoad in this game because he didn't bring either of his grass types. The only way I probably would have not led off with Seismitoad is if he brought both of them, honestly, just because Seismitoad provides me with the best neutral matchup against pretty much anything on his team, and it gives me a good chance to get up Stealth Rocks immediately if I need to. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right on into this match, as my opponent Necrostevo is going to issue the challenge. And what you'll end up seeing here very shortly is that he is going to decide to lead off with his Diggersby here, which is a pretty scary lead matchup, but it also provides me with an immediate opportunity to put the Diggersby into range of Rotom later on, as my Rotom does have Hidden Power Ice with a little bit of a special attack investment. If I just go for a Scald here, maybe get the burn on this Diggersby as well, it means that the Diggersby is going to be neutralized for the rest of the game, as well as being very easily checked by a variety of members on my team. The only way he would have been able to take me out, or even have a chance to take me out on that turn, is if he was an Adamant Banded return. If that attack was Adamant Banded coming off of Diggersby, and even then I had a chance to survive. So he turns out to be probably Jolly Life Orb based upon that damage, although that could still possibly be Adamant, as this is actually a recreation of the game. So in the first creation of the game, I actually burned the Diggersby with that Scald. I didn't burn here, and I think if he didn't get burned on that turn, he probably would have just gone for a knockup on this turn, but regardless, I would have gone into my Rotom because I have the Culpa Berry, and then I would have been able to finish off the Diggersby there if he would have allowed me to do it in the original game, and it turns out that he sacks off his Diggersby here anyway. So now he's going to go into his Tyranitar, and I'm just going to fire off a Will-O-Wisp. I'm not about to let this thing have a free Dragon Dance, even though I think there's a decent chance this is a Stealth Rocker in this game. Regardless, I think it's my best play, as he just decides to go for a Pursuit, and I do have the Culpa Berry, so behind the burn and the Culpa Berry, that Pursuit does literally 24 to my Rotom, which is pretty hilarious considering that's a that's a hit that I'm weak to, and I'm a tier 5 Pokemon, but Rotom Ghost is no joke, guys. Rotom Ghost is actually very solid, as now I'm going to pull the switch into my Zygarde Dog, because I know he's probably going to go for Stealth Rocks or potentially a second Pursuit on this turn, maybe even a Crunch, but a burned Crunch is not going to do that much to my Zygarde, and because I know he doesn't have proper responses to the Zygarde on the team that he brought, it's a very good opportunity to get off a big hit here, so I am just going to fire off the 1,000 arrows on this turn as he decides to go hard into Fortress, which is not really surprising, considering that's the only thing that even resembles a switch into the Zygarde on his team that he brought here for this match, and it looks like close to 40%, so that tells me it's most likely going to be a 3-hit KO, but if I get up Stealth Rocks here soon, that'll be a better way to make sure of it. But regardless, I am just going to go for another 1,000 arrows here, because my thought process, as he sacks off Mega Alakazam to my 1,000 arrows, which I am A-okay with, I did not predict that, by the way. My thought process was that I wanted to weaken the Fortress to the point where it's no longer a response to Gardevoir, and when that becomes the case, that means that the Rotom Heat has to start taking the hits for the from the Gardevoir, which will weaken down the Rotom Heat for the Celesteela late game. So that was the thought process behind that turn. I thought there was also a high chance he would go for Spikes with his Fortress as well, as now that he goes back into his Fortress, I know he's going to be kind of frustrated. I know he's going to want to just try to go for the damage that he would have gotten off on me on the previous turn if he had decided to go for a Gyro Ball. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the cheeky switch into my Seismitoad, as this gives me a nice opportunity to get out my Stealth Rocks right now, which is nice in terms of weakening the Rotom Heat later in the game. But because he decides to go immediately into his Rotom Heat, that tells me this is like 120% going to have Hidden Power Grass. So once again, the worst case scenario here for me is that he goes for a Toxic, because I'm going to go hard into my Zygarde 10. Okay, because if he's going for Hidden Power Grass, I chew this. I have a fair amount of bulk investment as far as Zygarde 10 is concerned. I have a fair amount of bulk investment, and if he just goes for a Hidden Power Grass, that's going to do like 25% maybe to my Zygarde. You can see how much it does. It looks like it did less than 25%, so this is definitely uninvested Rotom Heat, and this is definitely a very free 1,000 arrows coming off of my Zygarde, as it's going to be forced to go back into the Fortress, and he'll be 2-hit KO'd by the 1,000 arrows here no matter what, unless I get a critical hit, which I do, and he's going to be knocked out here in one hit to the 1,000 arrows. So Fortress goes down. Zygarde is already putting in a lot of work here in this game, as now he is going to I believe, go right back into his Tyranitar because he needs to set the sand to have a chance to win this game with Lycanroc. That's pretty clearly his win condition at this point, so he could go hard into Lycanroc there, maybe knowing I'm an adamant nature, but even so, he might even be adamant himself, and I think he wants to try to go for a game here because it's pretty much now or never at this point, with the score being 6-3 in my favor, now 6-2 in my favor with his Tyranitar going down. So Zygarde Dog already has several kills in this game. It's really proven its worth here immediately, as now my opponent Necrostevo is going to go into the Lycanroc, and I knew there was a good chance he'd go for SD here. I really wanted to stay in and just go for 1,000 arrows, but this was my best way to deal with the Rotom Heat in one turn, so I decided to preserve it and go hard into my Rotom Ghost because I really don't need it for anything, and the Lycanroc's not going to be able to get up. It's not going to be able to survive the combination of Rotom plus Scarfed Gardevoir at this stage in the game. Sure, he can go for a sub, sure he can go for an SD on this turn, but the fact remains that I have enough special attack investment on my Rotom to be able to break the substitute of this Lycanroc on this next turn, guaranteed, unless he's like a really fat Lycanroc, which I didn't expect, quite frankly. And I'm going to be able to break the sub, as now he's going to be forced to either attack me or go for a second Swords Dance. If he goes for a second Swords Dance as I go for the Thunderbolt, he'll be guaranteed in range of my Scarf Gardevoir's Moonblast, as I will trace the Sand Rush and guaranteed outspeed him on the next turn. So he's forced to just take me out here with the Stone Edge, which is fine. Here I go into my Gardevoir, and I had the option of going for a Focus Blast to guarantee take this thing out from this range, as because the sand is up, the Moonblast would not be able to knock out the Rock-type Lycanroc. So I could have gone for a Focus Blast to go for pretty much the guaranteed 4-0 victory, but I decided to go for a Healing Wish just to be a little bit safer. Just because now I'm going to be able to heal up my Seismitoad all the way back up to full health, and with this, with that in mind, he's only going to be able to take me out with a +2 Z-move crit, as my investment allows me to guaranteed survive even the Splintered Storm Shards at +2 from the amount of health that I am at now. I do have to stop commentary here briefly because this Z-move is copyrighted in some sense, so as this gets going here, we're going to have to fast forward. So as you can see here, we do actually survive pretty easily. He doesn't get the critical hit, but we survive on like, what, 17 health or so. So I guess not easily, but it was still guaranteed survival unless he got the critical hit. So we are able to take out the Lycanroc with the Scald. Now, one thing that I kind of realized in hindsight that I actually could have done, but did kind of depend on his Lycanroc spread, is that I could have just gone for the Moonblast with Gardevoir instead of going for the Healing Wish, and then picked off the Lycanroc with an Adamant Extreme Speed from my Zygarde, because it most likely would have been in range of that, and that would have meant that I would have been able to secure a 4-0 victory instead of having to sacrifice my Seismitoad here to the Rotom Heat in order to get a free switch into my Zygarde. So, you know, hindsight, it's 2020, but even so, a 3-0 victory is still good enough for me, so I'm going to go into my Zygarde now after sacking off the Seismitoad. I'm going to click 1,000 arrows. The Rotom Heat is going to drop, and the Kansas City Jirachiefs are going to pick up the victory in our GBA Premier 3-0 over Necrostevo and the Victorian Shadows. That was actually a really good game. For a while, I thought it was going to be a little bit of a blowout just based upon how the early plays of the game occurred. With the Mega Alakazam going down so early in the fashion that it did, I was kind of thinking, okay, this might be kind of an ugly game, but he really brought it back with the cool prep and Lycanroc in the back. That was pretty cool on his end. Really forced me to adapt my game plan. But ultimately, Zygarde really proved to be too much for the team that he decided to bring, and that's how it goes. He opted to bring less Celesteela setup fodder so that he would be you know, less likely to lose to Celesteela, but unfortunately, the Celesteela Zygarde core is a core for a reason. It's able to really take advantage of the prep, or the degree of prep that an opponent puts in for each of those Pokemon individually. So, yeah, Zygarde 10 really put in the work, 4 kills this week, which is pretty insane. But yeah, we're going to accept that win and move on. Make sure to, of course, once again, check out Necrostevo's side of the battle, his channel again, linked down in the description below. Make sure to go click that, look at his channel if you haven't already, as I'm sure his side of the video will be really insightful as well. Now, we do have another battle next week. Obviously, we're going to be against El Scizor and the Borussia Don fan. I might have butchered that, but I don't actually know how it's supposed to sound, so I'm sure he'll probably tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But we have playing him next week, so that'll be cool. The roster's going to be a little bit different. We are making some changes, but I'm not going to spoil now. I'm going to let the transactions guys on the GBA channel spoil that instead, so make sure to go check out the GBA YouTube channel if you haven't already, as you'll be able to see what my transactions are there if you want to know as soon as possible. Obviously, I would tell you by the time of my team builder next week, but even so, that's where you can figure it out the soonest. But I will say that we're going to have 3 members of the KC Jirachiefs swapped out for next week, and they are not necessarily going to be low-tier members, so there's going to be some pretty major changes to the roster, but I think they're for the better. They improve my matchups quite a bit, I feel, across the entire season, so I am happy with them overall, and I hope you guys will be... I hope you guys will like them as well. You know, I think they're pretty good. So I think we are done here. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and without further ado, I will see you all next time. Peace.